Welcome to 32 Bar Cut the Show, a show where we talk with our friends about what it's like to be a performer. Today on 32 Bar Cut the Show, we are sitting down with Andrea Jones-Sojola.
It's time to welcome on our guest, my favorite by far, a Broadway star,
Andrea Jones-Sojola.
32 Bar Cut.
She served us strawberries on stage, and now she is serving up strawberries on her finger-licking alkaline. Welcome to the show, Andrea Jones-Sojola.
Hey, Adrienne! 32 Bar Cut!
Oh my gosh, it's so good to see you. So Andrea and I have met each other in different ways over the past, I want to say 3 years. So I was her reader in Carmen Jones, but I had already seen her in... Oh my gosh, I had already seen you in something. I forgot about that. So anyway, scratch that. I was her reader in the Carmen Jones auditions, which she booked because she slayed and she's wonderful and amazing. And John fell in love with her immediately. And then shortly after that, we found out that we had a lot of mutual friends. And so I was following Andrea on Instagram, and she put up this post about being alkaline and that she wanted to show other people how to be alkaline. And so I joined her group. And last summer, when all of this craziness was going down, we were meeting every Saturday for 4 weeks to talk about living the alkaline lifestyle. So I'm so excited to sit down and chat with you today. We're going to be chatting about classical music, Porgy and Bess, Carmen Jones, and also alkaline diet. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me, Adrienne. I'm so glad to be here. This is so fun. I've been watching your show, watching your episodes, and you are a light. You are the light that the industry needs right now. So I'm really glad that you decided to do this program, and extra excited that you thought of me to even come on your show. So I'm so honored to be here. Thank you.
Oh, absolutely. I had to have you on the list because, first of all, because of your demeanor and your spirit and your warmth. You're so welcoming and kind and professional. And also because you come from a classical background, and we share that. And I think it's so important to talk about that transition and what it looks like, and how you can still, maybe you can still do both. So I want our listeners and viewers to see that side of it as well. As
Absolutely.
Also how you've changed your life. You've changed your life, and that's important to talk about too. Okay.
Cool.
So first off, I ask everyone this, and I know how loaded it is, but how are you?
I am fabulous. I'm great. I'm really happy. I'm crazy like everybody else as well. I claim that part too. But, I feel like when this pandemic happened, it got very dark, as we all know. It got dark. On Broadway, it was dark, but then it was kind of dark in the world because we were dealing with a lot socially and with Black Lives Matter, and politically. There was a lot of things going on, and it felt like somebody just put a big, gigantic blanket over the earth. And it was like, where is the light? Where is the light? But in that, I feel like people decided to just lift the blanket off and see where they could dibble and dabble and create. And I'm actually just really excited that I've been watching friends and family members and even people that I don't know open their minds up and find out the things that they're good at that they didn't know that they were good at. So that's been really exciting. And I kind of jumped on that bandwagon too over the course of this last year. So it's been exciting in that way. And I'm also happy because I actually enjoy being home. I enjoy being home. And this is the first time, this year was the first time in 4 years that I had been able to actually be home with my husband. My husband, Pumzile Sojo, also known as Puma. Some of your viewers might know Puma. He was on tour for 4 years in Phantom of the Opera, so he's been away. And his show closed right before the pandemic ended. So I had been like solo parenting for 4 years. So that was interesting. So actually it's been really nice to have him home this year So I'm very appreciative. So I'm grateful. That is the short answer to the very long answer and question that you just gave me. I'm grateful.
Grateful is the word, right? I feel like this past year has taught me so much about gratefulness and appreciating our loved ones and spending time and what that feels like, because Austin and I have a similar story, not as drastic as yours with 4 years on tour, but since we've been together the past 10 years, one of us has been on tour or one of us hasn't been, or, and we just haven't spent a lot of time together. And so this year we're eating dinner together, and we are like, who knew you could eat dinner with your
That's
spouse?
amazing. I didn't know Austin was a performer. I didn't know that.
Austin is a performer as well as a music director and composer. And so he gets called away to do different things and has gotten called away to do different things since within our first 3 months of dating. I think we've been doing on and off long distance. So
wow.
Yeah.
So now that's new, eating dinner.
Yeah.
But fun, right? Isn't that fun, though?
It is fun. We take turns on who's going to cook, and Austin is now vegan with me, so that's exciting. Yeah.
I never would have thought that would happen because I come from barbecue, but it's great.
Yep.
Yeah, he's got that Kansas City, Missouri, barbecue, open up the grill. I know, being from Kentucky, I know you're like, yeah. But we're definitely going to talk about that in the curtain call, because I know that you have figured out ways to make it work. You've figured out ways to still enjoy your food and live a healthy lifestyle.
Absolutely.
So we know each other, like I said in the beginning, for different reasons, but I think it's always cool when I come across a classically trained singer in this business, because I just feel like there's this kinship there, this knowledge of, well, how are you navigating musical theater? Like, how are those dance calls going for you? How is, how's that 8-show week going?
Woo, baby.
It's just a different lifestyle. So what was that like for you transitioning into this business?
Wow. That's an interesting question, because it took a while. Because honestly, I went to school, obviously, for classical music. So I did my first degree at Lincoln University in Pennsylvania. So when I graduated, I was only one of 2 music students who graduated that year. So it was a very tiny program. And it was actually, Lincoln is the country's first Black college, first Black university. So that was interesting, like studying music from that point of view. And then I went to grad school in Colorado for a year, studying classically in an all-white program, which was really interesting to study it from that point of view. And then from there, I went to the University of Kentucky and studied under a wonderful, wonderful teacher and mentor. And then, but that's like a liberal arts school, but I was, within the music program, still studying classical music. And then went to University of Cincinnati, CCM, where I studied opera. And so there was no academics. It was just like performing and studying like the art of performing classical music. So that was really interesting and kind of varied within the classical realm. But after that, I did opera outreach for a couple of years and worked with a couple of opera companies that I was familiar with, in the region. But something kind of was always in me that I wanted to transition out of that. Like, I didn't grow up wanting to be a classical singer at all. I wanted to do like country music because I'm from Kentucky. So I was, like Loretta Lynn fan, and I used to love, Dolly Parton and all those. I don't know. I was just like stuck on that. Once you watch Coal Miner's Daughter, like everyone wants to be a country singer. But anyway, I didn't grow up with classical music, but then I found out that my voice lent itself to that style of music, but I still kind of had an affinity for other types of music, and as well as like, television and film. Every kid kind of has that dream. Mm-hmm. But when I moved to the East Coast, I really came out here to do the transition. I didn't come out here in hopes of being like a big opera star for some reason. I mentally and emotionally, I get kind of shifted away. And so I didn't know what I was doing. I would just go to these big open calls and see all these girls who looked like they knew what they were doing. So I would try to kind of act like I knew what I was doing, even though I didn't. And nothing ever really came of it. And then my husband was a part of Three Mo Tenors of that entity, and they had a sister group called Three Mo Divas. So I booked that and worked with them for a couple of years, and I got exposed to different styles of music. And at the time, I was working with Vivian Reed, who was a big Broadway icon, and she kind of really helped change my my mindset and really encouraged me, to just kind of go for it. It just so happened that I was supposed to do a gig with that company out west, and I got randomly a call to come in for a vacation swing for the Phantom of the Opera. And so, and mind you, I didn't have like any representation or anything. I have no idea how they even like knew who I was. But they wanted me to come in for that at the same time I was supposed to have been out west doing this other show. Mm-hmm. And so I decided that this could be my chance to be on Broadway.
Yeah.
So I gave up that gig that I was going to be making a lot of money doing out west. I just gave it up because I said, I want to do this audition. And there was another young lady that I knew that had also been a part of the show, but wasn't going out to the west. And I said, hey, do you want to take that gig? Because I don't think I'm going to do it. Do you want to do it? She said, yeah, I'll do it. So she took my place, and I did this Phantom of the Opera audition and never heard from them.
Oh my God. No.
So I gave up like it was going to be like the most money I had ever made, like performing. Mm-hmm. I gave it all up for an audition that I did not book, but that's okay because I have seen episodes of 32 Bar Cut, and I know that you have experienced the same thing.
Yes.
So, but it was okay. But I realized like it wasn't for me. I knew that I wasn't supposed to be out there that summer. And like, I hadn't signed my contract. Like, I had verbally committed, but I hadn't signed my contract. And I remember specifically, like, my contract had like chicken grease on it. I don't know how it got chicken grease on it. But I think I was just being like careless with paperwork and everything. And I thought, gosh, I didn't even like treat the contract like it was this sacred thing. So clearly, like, my heart was meant to stay in the New York area that summer. Well, that summer, I again got a random call to come in and audition for Showboat that was going to be at Carnegie Hall. It was going to be a benefit at Carnegie Hall. And I went in and sang for a very well-known conductor. And I remember at the end of it, he said, I'll be seeing you very soon. And I was like, oh my God, what does that mean? What does that mean? and so I got to do this Showboat at Carnegie Hall. So that was my Carnegie Hall debut. And it was with all of these Broadway people. And which was funny though, it was Broadway people, but also Marilyn Horne was in the show.
Oh my God.
So it was like Broadway and opera people.
Yeah.
Which was like, that's my world.
Yeah.
That's my world. And so it was really, really fun to get to know all these Broadway people that I ended up working with, like down the line. But I just was kind of honored to be there. I'm like, y'all let me be in this show? What? But speaking about transition, so I remember being in rehearsal, and there were two girls, I remember they were sitting on both sides of me, and both of them said, can you sing into my tape? And for me, that was new for like people to bring tapes to rehearsal and tape things. Yes. Because they were learning by rote.
Yes.
So like in classical music, like you get in the practice room, you bang out the notes, you put it in your head, you coach it a million times. And then you go to your voice teacher and you're getting it in your body, like in a different way than in musical theater. So that was new to me. So like my classical training helped these young ladies who are like, have been on Broadway, like they were already on Broadway. And with the exception of the pandemic, like they were still on Broadway. You probably actually know who they are. So I was like, okay, this is a new world. Like this is how it works. But that was that experience. And from there, I realized that like, I think this is going to be where I stay. I'm going to stay in this world because I'm enjoying it. I enjoy the feeling. I enjoy the familial part of it. Mm-hmm. And it felt kind of like home in a weird way, not in a way that like people who can belt and stuff, like I don't feel at home like them, but I had to find out what my niche was. Mm-hmm. And from that point on, I kind of investigated and I figured out, okay, I'm what they call legit. I didn't even know, like, if someone would have said legit to me, like, you know, a long time ago, I would have been like, of course I'm legit. Like, aren't we all legit? What do you mean legit? You know, I didn't understand exactly what that meant, but that's what kind of singer I am. And I've been able to make a career out of being the girl they hire who can pop out the high notes that I learned how to do being classically trained. So that's kind of how it's helped me transition. But I have to say, I enjoy it. I do. I enjoy this world. It's a lot of fun. And I really like the people.
I can identify with that so much. I remember my first rehearsal. It was in Hyde Park at Court Theater in Chicago. And I was doing Porgy and Bess. And that was my transition show. So it's interesting, you know, Showboat was your transition show. Mm-hmm. Porgy and Bess was mine. And I remember that first rehearsal. I had been emailing the music director. Can you please tell me what voice part you would like for me to be on so that I can learn this, you know, my track and everything. I don't even think I said track because that's a totally a musical theater.
Right.
Term. But he said, oh, Adrienne, you'll find that musical theater is very different from the opera world. And I was like, okay. And sure enough, first day of rehearsal, I was like, oh, so y'all are teaching parts. Okay. You know, like, all right.
What?
This is gonna, I'm fine, you know, like.
Yeah. I'm gonna be good.
I'm gonna be so good. Like, that's not really why I stayed. I think, like how you said, it felt like a family. And I think, you know, I went to Spelman, so I understand that starting up in a program that is all Black. And our program wasn't as funded as it should be. So we weren't really getting all the attention we needed.
Yeah. Same here.
You understand. Yeah. If you had 2 music graduates, then So if I'm being honest, I got to grad school and I had a lot of catching up to do. And that was a new program. And I still felt like they didn't really take care of us how they should have either. And
did you go to school in Chicago for grad school?
I did. Oh, okay. I went to Roosevelt at CCPA. Yeah.
Okay.
And I had the drive, I had the passion, I had the spirit, I had everything I needed, but just everything seemed like it was missing. So finally I felt good about singing, and I hadn't in a few years. I felt really good when I was at Spelman. When I left Spelman, I was like, hey, you know, but something about
you guys have some good singers coming out of Spelman. I mean,
you know them. Yeah.
Yeah, I know them. And
they sing down. Yeah, they do. Yep. Really and truly. And so coming from that legacy of singers, I felt very good until I got to Roosevelt, and I didn't feel great anymore. So it took some time for me to start believing in myself again. And Porgy and Bess was the start of that, of feeling like, oh, I am capable again, you know?
Yes.
But, so yeah, that's why I stuck around. It's interesting how it's a gig that gets you there, even though you had the foresight. Like you were like, no, I want to make my Broadway debut. That sounds good to me.
Yeah. Yeah. And you know, also too, it's like, there's a certain air that, you know, opera has, and that's just what it is. That's the culture of it. And I knew that wasn't me. It wasn't me, and it never has been me. It's my voice. Like, my voice can do that. My voice does do that. But the extra coat you have to kind of put on for that, like, wasn't me. And you have to have a certain drive to want to, you know, kind of, I don't know. I don't know exactly how to articulate it, but it's 2 different worlds. There obviously is some crossover, which is fabulous. But walking into an audition for Broadway is very different than walking into an audition for opera.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
Yeah.
Even if you're going in for the chorus of an opera house, it's very different. And I can agree with you. It just wasn't me. And I was like, why am I so uncomfortable? And I don't want to be uncomfortable. And now I feel very comfortable walking in auditions. However, the transition, maybe not so comfortable. But once I got the hang of it, I thought, oh, this isn't as stuffy as I thought it needed to be. I thought I needed to wear a dress to every audition, heels to every audition.
Girl, oh my God. You know, even when I go into like film and TV and I just walk in some bootleg jeans.
Yeah.
And, you can half do your hair and you're like, hi, I'm here.
Yeah.
Boom. Because they want you. They don't want a caricature of yourself. They like actually want you. And I felt like that's the difference. Like I never wanted to pretend to be something that I'm not, because some people really are like, you know, like that. They're very grand and that's who they are. And they fit very well in that world. And it's not so much like that anymore. There's lots of, you know, unique works happening now as we speak, unique things being written, which is fabulous. I'm happy about that. But at the time when I was coming up, it was an extra thing that I didn't see myself fitting into. So, yeah, but I respect it. I respect it because, you know, singing classical music is no easy feat.
Absolutely.
It isn't. It's a tough thing. It's very, very challenging. But I also found, you know, being in music theater, the focus is just different. You know, you don't focus on how beautiful you sound. Yeah. You can't. You cannot focus on like how lovely your tone is. You have to focus on that in opera or people will, you know, throw tomatoes at you. But here it's just, it's a different feel. It's like, I have to focus on making sure that you understand what I'm saying. Yes. And you understand the through line, you understand the story. So I like that part of it.
Yeah. Tell the story.
Yeah.
Tell the story. So Black girl from Kentucky, why classical music? How'd that happen?
Well, I grew up, you know, like most, like anybody Black, not anybody Black, but most of Black folks, you know, you're going to grow up in church and you're going to grow up like, you know, singing with the little kids choir. And then you grow up, you know, and you sing with the big people's choir. And then your throat starts hurting.
Because you're belting. I know they put you on soprano too.
I actually was an alto. And then for a time I sang tenor. You know how it is.
I know how it is. Because you grow up in these Black churches and they're like, well, if you can harmonize, if you've got a good ear, they will put you on what part is needed.
Yep.
I was never able to hold down the tenor. You could probably hear from my speaking voice. I was never able to hold down the tenor. But if they wanted me on alto, I was like, okay, I got that. Because alto's fun. Yeah. You know, they have the fun part. It is.
That's exactly what I did. And I wasn't very good at it. I mean, to be honest with you, like I wasn't the best. I have an older sister. I have two older sisters. One, she sings and like composes gospel music, and the other one writes and performs. She's a gospel recording artist and has CDs and everything. And she's very good. And I was not that. Like I wasn't great. I did it and I tried my best, but it's not about that. You know, when you're in church, you just kind of like sing for the glory of God. And, you know, if people enjoy it, they enjoy it. So that's what I was there for. But in high school, you know, you also sing, in high school, you're singing in lots of choirs and things like that. So I traveled with an award-winning choir in high school, international, award-winning choir, which was wonderful. And so then when I went to college, I only expected to go to my undergrad for a year. And I told my voice teacher, who also was a Black woman, I told her, I'm only staying here for a year. I wanted to get the Black experience in college like my parents, because my parents went to Tennessee State. Okay. And I said, I'm only staying here a year so I could get the, Black college experience. And then I'm leaving. I'm going to go to CCM. And my teacher was like, oh, no, you're not.
Oh, wow.
Dang. Yeah, because I said, I'm going to CCM. I'm going to do music theater. She says, oh, no, you're not. You're going to stay right here. You're going to learn how to sing, and then you can sing whatever you want to. And I remember being gagged because she said it in front of this girl. There was another girl coming in for her voice lesson who was, she was Miss Lincoln. She was the person, like the queen or whatever. What do they call it?
Homecoming queen?
Yeah. She was like Miss Lincoln, like when you used to open up the Ebony magazine, like in the 90s, and they had all like the black college queens. She was Miss Lincoln, and she was in my lesson with me. And I remember being so embarrassed that like my voice teacher had worked me in front of this senior, telling me off. She said, "You're going to stay right here. You're not going anywhere." And she said, "Then you can sing what you want." So I was like, okay. So I stayed there for all 4 years. And learned, I honestly, like all I did, she basically gave me everything she ever sang, and she had been a mezzo soprano. And so she just gave me everything she ever sang, but she sang like a really wide range of music. So I was singing lots of inappropriate material for
your age. Voice.
Yeah. It didn't matter, like whatever. And so then I just kind of, I stuck with it, and I did, the little summer programs here and there, which were all great. And I got to meet even more classically trained singers. And I went to Chautauqua Institute of Music, and everybody there was either from Juilliard, Curtis Institute of Music, or Manhattan School of Music. And they were all my friends and buddies. And so then I said, okay, I think I want to go to one of these conservatories to study. But I remember one of the guys in the program said to me, he was a peer. He wasn't a voice teacher or a coach, but he said to me, you really are talented, but you have no technique. And I didn't know what the word technique meant. I was like, really? What is that? They didn't have Google back then. You couldn't Google what it's vocal technique. I was like, really? What is that? And he says, you don't know what you're doing. And I said, but I've been in school all these 4 years. And he was like, yeah, but you got to learn how to sing. You have to learn how to get your instrument to a point where you can really depend on it. And I said, oh, okay. So at that point, I thought I'm just going to stick with this classical music thing. I had really forgotten about music theater, and I thought I'm gonna be an opera singer. Everybody says if you're gonna be an opera singer, you got to go sing at the Met if you really want to say that you are a real opera singer. That's where you get your street cred. And so I was just kind of working towards that. I would do vocal competitions and win some of those, and so I just stuck with it. And then when I went to University of Kentucky, I had a wonderful voice teacher there, and that's where I honed my technique. And so I'm grateful that it was there that I learned how to sing. And so now I know under any condition I can sing. Like if I haven't had sleep, I'll still be able to sing. If, I'm not well, I'll be able to sing. I can do 8 shows a week because of that training. You know what I mean? Yeah. I don't know if I hadn't had that training, by that Wednesday matinee, I'd be like, but I can do it. So I'm grateful. Sometimes, to be honest with you, Adrienne, there were times where I thought, did I waste a lot of my life learning how to sing classical music? I was kind of upset because, I did 4 years of undergrad. I did a year of grad school in Colorado. I did 3 years in my master's, and I did 2 years in an artist diploma program. So that's 10 years. That's how long a doctor goes to school, a medical doctor. But I thought, I don't sing classical music anymore. So was that a waste? And I was kind of upset with myself. Like, golly, why did I do that? But no, I realize now that has given me stamina. So I'm good. I'm okay. I'm grateful for the training.
That's amazing. If you saw my video on vocal health and I lost my voice pretty dramatically in 2019, and I was still performing. And when you talk about technique, I thought I had technique, but I was still struggling because I was relying on that church training I had to sing this musical theater stuff, right? Yeah. And that's not what I've been trained to do. And I think what really was my saving grace was the voice teacher I talk about in that video, Susan Eichhorn Young. If I hadn't linked up with her.
Whose husband was the original Three Motet.
Yes. Yeah.
He's incredible. Oh my gosh. I don't mean to interrupt, but listen to him. If you haven't already, listen to him sing a song called Twisted.
Okay.
When you get a chance, or your audience, any of your viewers, listen to Thomas Young sing Twisted.
We got it. Okay, I will definitely do that. I can tell by your smile that it's worth it.
Yeah.
Yeah, she saved me because I was at the point where I wasn't even sure if I could do an audition that required long passages of speech. That's
Wow.
where I was, and she saved me. But
So she teaches like Broadway singers and classical singers.
She does. She does.
Okay.
She does.
Yeah.
She's great for that. And she teaches in a way that helps you understand your voice, like you said, so that you can sing anything. That you're treating your voice like your voice, not like your classical voice, your church voice, your belt voice, your jazz voice. No, it's all your voice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. Thank goodness for good voice teachers who know what they're doing. Because I don't trust a lot of people.
Mm-hmm.
That's why, a lot of people ask, well, who do you study with?
It's like, oh, sorry.
No, I was just going to say, like, especially in New York City, there are a lot of people who charge a lot of money.
Yes.
Because, they can say they're a New York teacher. And there's a lot of people, honestly, in a lot of these programs at school, in these universities.
Yes.
Who just, maybe they wanted to be performers and couldn't cut it. So they're like, okay, I'm going to be a teacher.
Yeah.
It takes a special gift to be a teacher. It really does. You really have to understand pedagogy for real.
Yes.
To be able to do it. So everybody can't do it. And I just don't trust a lot of people with just taking this over and doing what they want to with it. Like I really have to trust them to be able to hand that over. So for you to have found somebody like Susan, that's wonderful.
Oh yeah. I'm so grateful to her. I feel like when you talk about trust people, it's like, I don't trust people with my hair and I don't trust people with my voice. I am the same. Oh my gosh.
I got you. I see you.
Oh my gosh. So you have done all the training. You moved to New York. You made your Carnegie Hall debut. And now, like, the ball is rolling. Eyes are on you. You are ready to do this Broadway thing. Did you do Porgy and Bess shortly after that Carnegie Hall debut, or did you have to like hit the pavement a little bit?
I hit the pavement. For a few years and was doing, little random stuff here and there. In the meantime, I was working with a company called Opera Noir of New York.
Oh, yes.
And so I would, sing programs here and there or travel with them, which was good. And then I also, interim, was singing with a group called the American Spiritual Ensemble. Mm-hmm. And my voice teacher at University of Kentucky is the director of that. So we would travel. We do a Black History Month tour, and we would go to Spain in the summer or Ecuador. And so we were traveling. So I wasn't like twiddling my thumbs, but I would do auditions. In the meantime, I had done a film, Tyler Perry's film for Colored Girls. So I was able to kind of do that.
Amazing.
And
I didn't know that. That was I missed that in my research.
Oh no. Yeah. My good friend Karen Slack, who's just like a sister to me. I've known her for a long time and met her at Chautauqua so many years ago. And she's just an incredible singer. And it was really her gig, and she invited me to audition because they needed someone else. And I booked it with, again, classical training because we play opera singers in the film.
That's right. So, I'm seeing it now. Seeing it now. Oh my gosh. Maybe that's why your face looks so familiar to me.
Oh, maybe so.
Oh my gosh. I'm putting it all. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. It was a scene with Janet Jackson. And I could tell a quick funny story about that if you have like 30 seconds.
Oh, yes.
So we, again, were like there were three of us, and we were the opera singers for the scene where Janet Jackson comes to the theater with her husband, Omari Hardwick. And so anyway, it was just us, and we had been doing our thing all day long. And we were all about to walk through the Passover backstage at the theater. And there were like PAs there or whatever. And they put their hand out, and they weren't going to let us walk through this door. And we had been treated so nicely up until this point. Even Tyler Perry walked on stage, and he told all the extras, all the crew and everybody, he said, I just want you guys to know that you all are only here today for these three women on this stage. We were like, oh, for real? Okay, we like that. Like, we have been treated so awesome. And then all of a sudden, we were trying to walk through this door, and the PA was like, no, you need to wait. And we were like, oh, okay. And so they had let this lady walk through. She had on like a white house coat and some little house shoes. She sauntered through with like security guards, whatever. And then when she went through, I was like, who is oh, that's Janet. That's Janet. Yeah, we're going to let Janet go through. We're going to sit back here and we're going to throw roses on the ground for her.
Miss Rhythm Nation herself, okay?
Miss Pleasure Principal, honey. She can walk right on through. But yeah, so I was in that film, and that was a lot of fun. But so then what had happened was, it must have been like 2011, early 2011, there was this Porgy and Bess on Broadway audition that everybody was talking about. Mm-hmm. And, you know, again, we weren't known. I wasn't known in the Broadway world at all. But me and my husband and every black classical singer that we knew, we went in, you know, to audition.
Absolutely. When a black show comes on the scene, everybody's there.
Everybody was there. Everybody was there.
Yeah.
And so I had just had a baby. My daughter was like 2 weeks old.
Oh my gosh.
And I had this crazy pregnancy, and I, had a C-section. I couldn't even walk. I was rough. But anyway, we came in and we sang. I think somebody was like holding my daughter or something, while I sang. And then I never heard from them.
Oh my gosh. Because that's how it goes.
I didn't even get a call back.
That's the one thing in the classical world I do appreciate, is that you do get a letter.
Yes.
And then in theater, there's nothing.
Nope.
It takes some getting used to.
Yeah. You just gotta let it go.
Yeah.
Let it go. I actually was watching one of those CSA videos the other day, and one of the casting directors said, I think Mr. Casara said, he always tells his actors that you're allowed to stay in your head about an audition from the time you leave the audition until you get on the subway. And then once you're on the subway, you got to let it go. You got to let it
go. I like to treat myself. I like to go grab a latte or like a nice little doughy treat from somewhere. Sorry, I know that's not alkaline, but like a spelt
doughy treat. I made spelt donuts this morning actually, and they were very doughy and very good. But yeah, I didn't get a call back. My husband got a call back, and I was like, okay, well, within our family, it's like when one of us has good news, then we all have good news. So I was really, really happy for him, and he was in there with many of our friends in that callback, many of our opera friends, but I didn't get a call back. And then he booked it. He booked the workshop. So that was like super, super exciting. Mm-hmm. I was really happy for him. And then it just so happened that they needed to replace two people. And we had to come back and audition again. Mm-hmm. And the music supervisor said, I don't remember you auditioning the first time. He said, I think I was asleep. He said, I think I fell asleep.
Oh my God.
So I was like, yeah, I auditioned. But anyway, so I ended up booking we were going to did our run in Boston at Cambridge, mm-hmm. at ART. And so I was able to do that gig with my husband, which was just so fun. We had a really, really good time. And then we all waited on pins and needles to see if they were going to ask us, to go to Broadway. And they did. And
yes.
It changed my life forever. I'm still grateful. And I still think about that time in my life as one of the most special eras ever. Because I haven't had an experience like that since. I mean, it was just, what can you say? It was with Audra McDonald and Norm Lewis.
Yeah. Black excellence. On the ultimate level,
Yeah.
Just how you say around the classical world, if you haven't sung the Met, then you haven't arrived. It's really in theater, musical theater. In theater, it seems like, well, if you haven't performed on the Broadway stage, then that's your clout, right?
Exactly. So I was glad I could check that, off the list.
What was it like? Working with Norm Lewis and Audra McDonald and on that level? Yeah.
Masterclass. It was a masterclass. Every day.
Wow.
It was a masterclass. Yeah. I mean, I took notes. I was like, this woman is out of control. There is a reason why she has every Tony that's on her mantle. There's a reason why. And she's magical. She really is. She's magical, and she works so hard. Her work ethic is just like, it's incredible. All of them are like that, though. I mean, you know, we had a running joke the whole time with David Allen Greer. You know, he was always like full out all the time, full out. Like, he never marked in rehearsals. He was always like just putting everything he had out there every single day. He was very, very consistent. And in terms of like Audra, I've told this story before. So if any of your viewers have heard me in an interview before say it, I'm sorry I repeat it, but it was a very special moment for me in that I sang Strawberry Woman, and there's a point in the show before I do my part where I'm off stage just kind of waiting to go on, and Audra's character, Bess, is coming back from Kittiwah, where she's just been, you know, brutally beaten and harassed and really raped, you know, in so many words. But I saw her come through the Passover from stage right to stage left. I was on stage left, and I was the only person in the entire show, including the crew and the actors, who could see her, because everybody was either on stage, in the dressing room, or, you know, in their respective places where they're supposed to be. But I was about to go on, so I got to watch her get mentally ready for the scene that she was about to do.
That prayer scene, or the...
And when she comes back from Kittiwah, and she's like, oh, like all crazy and screaming and hollering, and she can't, you know, keep it together, and she just kind of like falls into the arms of everybody. And it was like she was like crippling herself. She was crippling herself, and she became like, you know, decrepit and just so, I don't even have the words for it, but I just saw her like deform herself. And it wasn't for anybody else to see. It was, I still to this day don't know if she knew that I saw her. But I watched her like a hawk. I watched her like a hawk. Like, oh my gosh, I can't believe she's doing this. You know, she's not waiting until like 2 seconds before she goes out to do her thing. You know, the audience, they never know. They never know how you prepare. Yeah. But to see her do that, and to see her, you know, we saw her, she had splinters, like a splinter like that in her foot because of the wood paneling on this stage. It was in her foot, and she did the whole show like that. Nobody knew, but she put it in her character. She put the pain of that going through her bare foot, a piece of wood in her bare foot. She just threw it into her character. But that's who she is. That's who she is, Adrienne. Oh my gosh. It's magic. Wow. It's magic. Yeah, she's wonderful. And Norm, I mean, you know, he is nice to look at. He's beautiful. Yes. He's beautiful, but like his soul is beautiful. You know what I mean? That's why he looks like that. Because the inside of him is just so kind and so loving and so warm and friendly. And that's why his voice is so beautiful. I really believe that people sing like who they are. You know what I mean? Like the inside spirit. Of you, it comes right out. You know, you have people who like have these brassy, edgy voices that are exciting. Like that's probably kind of like what kind of like personality they are. And some people with these like little pure, you know, sweet voices, it's kind of just like who they are as a person. And I feel like Norm is like that too. Like his voice is just, but he's just great. I really enjoy him. He's a nice person. Good. He's a good guy. But anyway, I love also being in that show because my husband was in that show. So that was kind of fun.
Yeah. Y'all got to work together. Oh my gosh. That's so thrilling. And he got to, was that his Broadway debut as well?
That was his Broadway debut as well. But then he got all fancy on me, and as soon as we closed, he went to another Broadway show. Meanwhile, I've been home with the child. Like,
we supposed to be doing this together, right?
Yeah. But okay, you know, a win for one is a win for all.
Yes, this is true. This is true.
Yeah.
I got a chance to meet Norm Lewis at a gala, and it was my first like gala in New York, you know. So I was like, oh my gosh, you know, like don't embarrass your parents, you know, just like be cool. And he came over to our table, and he, you know, we stood up to meet him and talked to him, and he like held my hand the whole time he was there. And I was like, Norm Lewis is holding my hand. I'm fine. I'm fine. I'm fine. I'm fine.
This is totally normal.
This is normal. Yeah. We're friends. Like I'm just trying to be cool. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
That's such an exciting debut. Such an exciting show.
And everybody came to the show. I mean, everyone you could possibly think of. They were coming to see, you know, the headliners. I was just a little peon, but I mean, like Michelle Obama came, and James Earl Jones came, and Aretha Franklin sent me flowers.
Oh my God.
Yeah. It was crazy. I came to the show. I came to the theater, and the security guy was like, you got some flowers. And I was like, yeah. You know, because Audra got all the flowers. I was like, yeah, okay. And I started walking upstairs. He was like, AJ, I told you there's some flowers right here. And I was like, okay. And I knew they weren't from Puma, my husband Puma. I was like, he is not. We saved every penny. We are not trying to spend no money on some flowers. So I know it wasn't for him. So I thought it was a practical joke. And there was a card, and it said, keep singing Strawberry, love Aretha.
Get out of town. Oh my gosh.
Just fell out. I fainted right there. They had to bring security. They put me on a stretcher. Everything. I couldn't even do the show.
Wow.
Yeah.
That is, I mean, just thinking of that, because you have that beautiful feature of Strawberry Woman, and knowing that all those incredible people are in the audience, and, you know, the stage is yours when you sing that, really. And it's so incredible that those people heard you sing. Michelle Obama heard you sing, you know.
It's crazy. It's wild. And my husband was Honey Man too. So, and they had
here come. Oh my God, I love it. Yes.
It was fun because they had, you know, they have a bar like outside, you know, during intermission, and people drink, and they had like a drink named after him and a drink named after me.
Oh.
So it was really, really sweet, but we could never drink it because it was, you know, we were in the show. But sometimes they would still sell things after the show.
Oh, post-show. They kept the bar open?
I think it was either post-show or some kind of way. I can't remember. But anyway, I remember going to the bar and being fancy and like trying to order my drink. And the guy was like, we don't sell that anymore. It wasn't a good seller, so we stopped selling it.
Wild.
Like,
you're like, okay, thank you. Just crush
God
my
humbles
dreams.
Me at every moment he can. I am humbled all the time. Yeah.
So the I got to see you perform in Carmen Jones at Classic Stage with Anika Noni Rose. It was so amazing, so beautiful, such an intimate setting of that show. And, you know, it brings me to my childhood whenever I, you know, think about Carmen Jones, because it was my mom's way of introducing us to Dorothy Dandridge in that era. So, you know, I have such a sweet spot for Carmen Jones, and I love the crossover in that, you know, the classical world meets something a little more common, not commonplace, and for the people, I feel like.
Absolutely. And John Doyle is just...
He's amazing.
Yeah.
Like, after that was my first time working with him, being his reader in that.
How did you know him?
I didn't know him. I don't normally say who I read for. So anyway, this casting company hired me to be his reader for the stretch of those auditions. And I think of course they wanted a Black reader. And I'm sure they have others, but they trusted me with it. And so I was like, well, I'm just going to do my best. You know, I'm looking at the text and I'm trying to do the text the way it seems like they want the text. You know how it is. And so in between, auditions, I would chat with John a little bit, and I was getting to know him, and then that was it. And then like 3 months later, I got an offer to do a workshop with him. And then
Oh, wow.
a year later, I got an offer to do another workshop with him. And just randomly, he's stayed in my life in that way. And it's funny how you can just be a lowly reader. You're at the bottom. If actors are at the bottom, readers are at the very bottom.
Yeah.
And so, that's how I know him. And he's so kind and remembers people and is thoughtful. And I could just tell when you walked in and you spoke to him a little bit about your daughter and going to see Color Purple and what that meant to her and both of you together. Yeah. I remember this story you told. I'm sorry I'm telling the world your audition story, but
no, it's okay. It's okay.
Yeah.
I think that's how I booked it, was because I almost started crying, telling him how we cried when we saw Color Purple on Broadway, which is still one of our favorite shows. We saw it, I think, 3 times. I mean, it's so
beautiful.
It was
just, I mean, the way it's, anyway, I'm getting chills thinking about it. I only got a chance to see it once, that production. And yeah, it was beautiful.
Yeah, it was. And I think I don't know if he was like, okay, she likes my work, let me just hire her. I don't care how she sings, but she likes my work. But no, John Doyle is just that experience. And plus just working with Anika, who is special for so many reasons. Another one whose work ethic is just wow, how do you do this? Because she's not a classical singer.
She is fierce.
Honey, let me tell you, she got voice lessons from someone, and she poured her whole heart and soul into that role in that little tiny room with her little tiny body, and just she's like fire. She's a firecracker, and
in that red dress.
Oh my God, she's so just sexy and smart and all of the things. And she slapped me on stage every night, which was it was a real slap. There was no stage combat. She jacked my character up every single night and enjoyed it too. But I love her. And Classic Stage is such a tiny theater. You actually have to share dressing rooms. And so I shared a dressing room with her and another actress from the show. Yeah. So, we had a blast. It was an absolute blast. Yeah. She's great.
I can only imagine. I got a chance to see you all. I loved the production. I loved everything about it. I loved the costumes. I loved the different shapes of people and the voices and how it all came together. It really looked like a community. And, when you talk about Anika's performance, honestly, I've seen her in Private Practice and Prince and the Frog and For Colored Girls and all that, which is cool because it all comes full circle for you, I'm sure.
I know, it's crazy.
But yeah, I was so struck by her performance. Her voice was so clear and pure, and all the acting. I mean, she was in it. She was Carmen Jones. It was so good.
Every single night. She was never Anika. She was Carmen Jones. But I've been such a fan of her for a really, really long time. I don't know if a lot of your viewers were around when Number One Ladies Detective Agency was out. The show she did with Jill Scott. And watching her, play an African was hilarious. Her characterization. My husband is South African, and so they were from Botswana. I think it was Botswana. I can't remember though. But her characterization was so on point from people of that region. She must have studied her behind off, studied their movements, studied the way they speak, and studied their isms and things like that. So much so that I was in South Africa a couple of years after that show came out. And John Connie, who was a big South African actor, he played T'Challa's father in the Black Panther.
Okay.
So he is like a god brother to my mother-in-law. So he came over one Christmas. We were in South Africa for Christmas, and he came over, and I was like, can you? I don't know why I thought he was gonna get me in that show. The show had been over, but I was like, is it coming back out? Is there another season of it? He was like, little girl. But anyway, he told me that many people in South Africa didn't realize that Anika was not South African.
Wow.
they thought that she was of their people. You know, they had claimed her because she's on point like that. And I just want to strive. When I see people like that, it just makes me want to work harder at this craft. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. So it sounds like early on you had a lot of experiences with women who you found inspirational, which is amazing as a Black actress to have those types of one-on-one interactions with women who are inspirational, because then you can learn from them, you can grow from them, you can build off of what they're already showing you, which is really incredible.
Yeah. I've been fortunate with that. And just, even just growing up, not even just on a professional level, but just in general, I've always had people who have kind of guided me or were like, come here, little girl, you need to learn this, or you need to learn that, or that's crazy, stop doing that. You always have those people in your life who are like that. And I've been so blessed with so many people in my life who strengthen me, where I'm weak. So I'm appreciative of that. And I hope that at some point I can do that for people in my life who might need, mentorship or friendship or just guidance.
I feel like you already are. And especially with Finger Lick and Alkaline, and which we're going to talk about in the curtain call, because you're changing people's lives, and you're showing them that it is possible, that you can come from a place of eating everything to really eating things that only serve your body and your health. So for all of you out there watching and listening, you've got to listen to the second segment of Andrea's interview / conversation, because she's going to drop some gems. So don't miss out. We're going to move over to the stage door round, where I'm going to ask you a few questions that you might get at the stage door. And so I didn't include those in our little preliminary anything.
Gosh.
But they're always fun. They're light. They're fun. Light questions. Nothing too deep. So what are your dressing room must-haves?
Ooh, my dressing room must-haves. That's a good question. I think water. Definitely need my water. Lip balm. Don't want no dry, crusty lips. My phone, because I am always on my phone. But when I'm off stage, I'm on my phone. I'm checking in. I'm on Facebook. I'm on Instagram. That good stuff. Calling mama. You know how that goes. I'm in a show. I can't really talk too long. Yeah, I gotta have my phone for sure. I think those are the main. Oh, and food.
Yeah. Definitely some snacks.
Yep.
You need to keep your stamina up.
I be taking whole meals up in there.
So my next question for you is, who has the best sense of humor in the cast of Porgy and Bess?
David Alan Grier.
Of course, right? Of course.
Yes. Yeah. He's crazy, hilarious, like everything that comes. It's funny that he's actually very serious. Like, he's very serious about his craft. And, I mentioned him earlier that he's very consistent, and he gives you everything every time. And he's not going to be, in another part of the stage doing something silly. Like, he's going to be on his mark every time. But in between, off stage, in the dressing room, in the hallway, in the stage management office, in rehearsal, he is a nut. I mean, from the very first day I met him, I have a picture somewhere on an old phone that I can't find. So I don't have very good vision. As a matter of fact, I have terrible vision. And so my glasses are like really thick. And one day I just could not put my contacts in. And he came to rehearsal and saw my thick glasses, and he just laughed. Like, he wouldn't stop laughing at me. I was like, you are so mean. And he took my glasses and just put them on. And he was like, take a picture. I have that picture somewhere. It's hilarious. He looks crazy. But yeah, definitely and also there's a guy named Philip Boykin, who he played Crown, and he's been on Broadway and several shows since Porgy and Bess as well. Like, he is absolutely hilarious. He's so fun and so friendly and a very good cook. So, and Philip too.
Yeah.
So if any of you guys are out there, definitely follow Philip Boykin on Facebook. He is out of control. But those two were the funniest.
I love that. It's always a good time when you have some humorous people on stage with you. It makes for a good time on stage, and it doesn't feel like work. You know, because that eight shows a week train can feel like work sometimes. But when you have comedic people with you, it's not. It doesn't feel like that.
It didn't feel, and it was work, but you're right. It didn't feel like work. I mean, physically, like it's tough because we were on a raked stage, and also our dressing room was like on the 4th or 5th floor, and it's like, oh, so it was like tough. So yeah, if you can, pass by that 2nd floor dressing room with David Allen Greer just acting a total nutcase, then yeah, it's gonna lighten things up, especially for a very heavy show like Porgy and Bess with very serious themes.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. Heavy show. Yeah.
Yeah.
So my last question for you for the stage door before we get into the curtain call in the next segment is, in the cast of Porgy and Bess, and this is a question I ask every guest, so you are safe in that everyone has answered this question.
Okay.
So in the cast of Porgy and Bess, who would you slap? Who would you hug? And who would you take to lunch?
Ooh, okay. Who would I slap? There is a guy named Wilkie Ferguson who he's out of control. He also was in Motown when it was on Broadway. He left our show and I think he went over to Motown. He is a composer and a pianist, and he was that person that just goes on stage and does like really funny, silly things to just make you laugh.
Yes.
That's him. And he never failed every single show. And we were on Broadway for, I don't know, 9 or 10 months or something like that. And every show he was like getting us in trouble for his antics. So I would definitely slap him. What was the second question?
Who would you hug?
Who would I hug? I would hug my husband. He had another wife in the show.
Uh-oh.
I wasn't his wife. So if I could, I would slip a hug in for him.
And then who would you take to lunch?
I would take Audra.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I would take Audra to lunch. We would go out to eat, and I would just ask her so many questions from the first day she was born up until the point that I was having lunch with her. I would just want to know all the goodies, all the gems, all the little, drops of knowledge that she has and how she does it. We've all seen her do it, but we really don't know how and like what causes her to have the kind of drive that she does. I definitely would want to take her to lunch.
Oh, yeah. Well, I want to take Audra to lunch too.
Well, let's take her to lunch.
Let's take her to lunch.
Let's contact her. Let's send her a little message and see if she'll go out to lunch with us, Adrienne.
Okay. Well, I'll let you do it and then I'll tag along. How about that? Well, Andrea, I've had so much fun chatting with you in this first segment. I can't wait to dive into the alkaline life in this next segment. For all of you all watching and listening, follow Andrea on Instagram. Follow her on Instagram at fingerlickingalkaline to get your whole life and learn more about the alkaline lifestyle and the alkaline diet.
Yes.
See you at the curtain call. Austin, play us out.